Can you use your Roth IRA as your emergency fund? Well, and if you can, should you? I've got both of those answers and more coming up. My name's Mike Bernard. I'm the host of the Wise Money Show. I'm also one of the certified financial planners right here at Korhorn Financial Group. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and smash that thumbs up button. The Roth IRA, we love the Roth. It's not a one-size-fits-all. It's not right for everyone. This is a tax decision that you need to make in the context of all 6 areas of your financial life. But for a lot of people, it really makes sense. Plus, with lots of new rules, Secure Act 2.0 and those sorts of things, there's sort of this Rothification, this encouragement, this loosening of the rules and encouraging people to use the Roth. We love it. I'm using it and we recommend it with our clients. The question is, should you work with your CFP, make sure that they're doing comprehensive financial planning, that they understand your tax picture, and that they've projected out where they think you'll be with your taxes. They can help you figure that out. But also in the Secure Act 2.0 are a couple of loosening of some rules with if you need to get access to money before you retire, how can you do that? And they've loosened up some of the rules and requirements or restrictions around that, but they've also created a couple of additional options or choices that didn't previously exist: an emergency withdrawal option and then a linked savings account to your 401k. Now, done some videos on each of these. I'll do more because it's new, it's confusing. It's going to take a while for HR companies and payroll companies to figure this out and get it added to your plan. Here's my personal opinion though. I just don't think it's going to help a lot of people. If all of a sudden you need to get your hands on cash, an emergency fund is really the best solution. Do you have one built? And if you don't, then you're going to be scrambling looking at other options. And I just, being able to access $1,000 from your 401k, having to pay tax on it but avoid a penalty, I just don't think that $1,000 is going to go very far. And I don't think it's going to be quickly accessible enough. The emergency linked savings account, that's $2,500. I don't know if that's going to go very far as well. And will it help some people? Absolutely. Might it help you? It's very possible. I just don't think it's going to help the masses. So it just leads to a different question. Is the Roth IRA, could the Roth IRA be an option? Or really differently, without these new rules, are there existing rules in place where you could access your retirement account in an emergency? And the answer is yes. The Roth IRA has a built-in emergency fund sort of mechanism to it. Now, doesn't mean you should use it for that. I'll explain in a second, but how the Roth IRA rule works, and this is not new, this is not Secure Act 1.0, Secure Act 2.0, this is how the Roth IRA actually works. When you make your contribution into your Roth IRA, it's not tax deductible. You don't get a tax benefit unless you get the retirement savers credit, which they're really changing, and I don't like, but that's a topic, I'll digress here. So you don't get a tax benefit on your contribution. You can invest those dollars however you choose, okay? And then the investment activity, hopefully the growth, but any dividends or capital gains as well, that's all sheltered from tax while it's in the Roth. And then you can withdraw that growth out there in retirement tax-free, okay? And technically you need to have had a Roth IRA for 5 years and be age 59 and a half. And what that means is you can withdraw that growth tax-free after you meet those criteria. But that's on the growth. What about your contribution? Your contribution, do you need to wait until you've had the Roth IRA for 5 years and 59 and a half in order to draw the money that you contributed back out? No, it's accessible at any time. The money, so you could put $6,500 in the Roth and then a month later, draw that $6,500 right back out and say, actually, I didn't want to contribute. You could do that. Should you? I would argue no, but you can. You can draw your contribution back out, and you might be thinking, why? Why would the IRS give you this freedom? Well, because when you draw your contribution out, now you have less money that's growing tax deferred and potentially tax free. So therefore, those tax benefits, those tax goodies that you're getting with the Roth, you have less ability to get them if you draw your contribution back out. Does that make sense? So it's always been built where you can draw your contributions back out if you need them, even if you're not age 59 and a half. All right, so if that's appealing to you, how would you use your Roth IRA then for an emergency fund? And I mean, one option is you could just contribute to your Roth, invest it like you normally would for retirement, and then just draw your contribution out as needed. The problem with that is, or where I would hesitate, is it's very possible you are facing an emergency at the same time the financial markets are facing an emergency. So what types of emergencies exist? Well, there's health issues, there's, squirrels ate through my roof issue, that I've had that, where all of a sudden you need a roof replacement, you've got water in the basement, those sorts of things, or there's interruption to your income. And those other issues are definitely emergencies, but it's the loss of income. That's the one that gets a lot of people, okay? Well, when you lose your income, is it possible there's massive layoffs happening? Yeah. I mean, could you lose your job for cause? Of course, happens every day, I assume. But when there's mass layoffs and so on, that's typically coinciding with a challenging stock market, challenging economy. So therefore, I don't love the idea of just treating your Roth IRA as an emergency fund and just investing it full tilt like you normally would, because if you think you're going to draw on it in emergencies, I would hate to have you draw on dollars right as they've lost a lot of value to them. Therefore, if you know you're going to use your Roth IRA as an emergency fund, I would encourage you to contribute to it frequently so that your contributions, the amount that you can withdraw without any tax or penalty, becomes a large enough amount. And I would keep some of that in lower risk investments. That's the opposite thing of what you'd want to do with the Roth. The Roth, the tax benefits are on the growth. You don't want low growth stuff in there, but if you think it's going to be used for emergencies, you might want some that is low growth. So if you're going to consider using your Roth as an emergency fund, contribute to it frequently. Make sure you've got lots of contributions. Make sure you track those contributions too, by the way. But then second, you might want to have some of it invested in lower risk and just understand that you're running some risk, that if you need to access it, your investments might be down in value, might be a bad time to do it, but live with that risk. So that's, can you use your Roth for an emergency fund? Yes. How should you structure it if you're going to do that? Answered that. But now the question is, should you? And I would argue no. Just because you can, I would argue no. You should have an emergency fund built up. And why is that the case? Because the emergency fund allows you to go full steam ahead towards your financial goals. If you know, okay, so this is the analogy that I use. If you've got a budget, a monthly budget that sort of maps out your monthly or weekly income, your monthly or whatever expenses, so you can see the road right in front of you. You're traveling long distance, you can see the road right in front of you. And then you've got a delayed spending bank account where you've looked far out there on the horizon and said, here's all the known upcoming expenses. They don't happen every month, but these are all the known upcoming expenses that I foresee, and you're saving up for those. And then you've got an emergency fund, that third bucket, that is available so that if a deer comes out of the side, that some unseen event occurs and disrupts your travel, you've got resources for that. If you've got all that covered, then you can aggressively save for the distance out there beyond 7 miles. You can't see past that horizon, that as you keep driving, you'll actually get there. That's where you can aggressively save for that. The emergency fund inside of the Roth IRA is potential where, well, I'm saving up for the future, so I'm taking a couple steps forward, but I might then take one step back when an emergency comes up. So if you're someone that's prone to have emergencies come up, or maybe it's more likely because of the industry that you're in, or your kids' age and their risk level, or the condition of your house, those sorts of things, I would not use your Roth as an emergency fund if you're going to be tapping it frequently, because that's going to feel like driving with one foot on the gas, one foot on the brake, and people do it, but I wouldn't recommend it. Therefore, I'd prefer to have that emergency fund in place, so then well, I can access my Roth if I need to, but I'm going to keep it high risk. I'm going to keep that thing going and funded for my long term, because I don't think I'm going to need to touch it. I've got this emergency fund in place. For those of you where it's possible you might need, your emergency fund isn't fully funded, but I want to make strides towards these long-term goals, I want to build that habit, then I absolutely would do that, and just be aware, hopefully you don't need to, but just be aware that you can access your Roth if you need to. Work with your certified financial planner on that. They can craft a strategy amongst these rules that's custom fit and tailored fit for you, and answer the question, hey, if an emergency comes up, if that deer, comes onto the road out of sight, and all of a sudden you've got an issue you've got to deal with financially, there's an emergency, where can you get your cash? Where can you get your hands on some cash? Your CFP can help you with that. So contact your CFP. If you don't have a CFP on your team, contact one on my team. You can find us online, Korhorn.com. That's Korhorn with K, wisemoneyshow.com. You can find us there as well, or send us an email, info@korhorn.com. All right, there you have it. Go out and take your next wise step in your financial life.